Most things are moving virtual these days, and that certainly includes interviews and hiring. And while it can be an initial adjustment, getting used to virtual interviews if you haven't done them much before, there are actually lots of benefits, not the least of which is increased flexibility in scheduling. As someone who's been hosting virtual interviews for the better part of the last 10 years, here are my top 10 tips to making it a successful experience for both you and your candidates. Number 1, choose video interviews over phone interviews. The more FaceTime you can get with your candidates, even if it's virtual, the better. Being on video allows you to assess body language, cues, and really build a connection with your candidate. Number 2, remember the basics. Being on time is just as important, if not more important, than it is in person to make sure that your candidate isn't left wondering if they've joined the wrong link, if they're having audio or video issues, so on and so forth. And it's important to start every interview with small talk, just like you would in an in-person interview, to help build that rapport with your candidate. Number 3, power up. This one may sound silly, but consecutive back-to-back video interviews or video calls can really drain the battery on your computer, and the last thing you want to have happen is in the middle of an interview needing to run and go grab a charger. Number 4, be present. It can be tempting to multitask when you're on a video interview, but candidates can tell when they don't have your full attention. Do your best to turn off any notifications, applications, and close out of your email, because it only takes a second of replying to an email to lose the thread of the conversation that you're having with your candidate. Number 5, consider your environment. Do your best to find a place that is quiet and distraction-free for the duration of your interview. Number 6, test your setup. If you're not familiar with the platform that you're using to host your video interviews, be sure to check it out ahead of time. Make sure that your audio works, that your camera works, and eliminate any day of interview stress for you or your candidate. Number 7, prep your candidates. Similarly, you want to make sure that your candidates know ahead of time which technology you'll be using, and if your video conferencing provider offers tech support, make sure candidates know where they can turn if they do have questions or concerns about connecting. You may even consider hosting a practice run with your candidate before a big interview or presentation to make sure there are no day of technical difficulties. Number 8, continue whiteboarding. Just because you're not in person in a conference room doesn't mean that you have to change the style or the format of your interviews. Consider great free virtual tools such as Jamboard for whiteboarding to make sure that you're able to get all from a virtual interview that you would from your in-person interviews. Number 9, prep the interview team. If there are multiple folks from your team interviewing the same candidate, make sure to connect ahead of time to decide who's asking what to ensure that you're not talking over each other or asking the same questions to the candidate. Number 10, track interviewer feedback and schedule a debrief. Make sure that your fellow interviewers know ahead of time where they should be jotting down their notes and feedback in real time, and proactively schedule time to discuss as a group once the interview is over. That's it. Those are my top 10 tips. Happy interviewing!